This race was originally supposed to be at a 7:07 minute pace. I had some injuries and some setbacks, and ultimately that wasn't possible. So now I get to tell you the story of me running an average 7:35 goal pace for the Helderberg to Hudson half marathon 2024, and also how I nailed that perfectly. What's going on, guys? This is going to be my recap of the Helderberg to Hudson 2024 half marathon that I ran on Saturday. It is Monday, but I wrote down all the notes I could honestly remember last night, put some headphones on, took all the notes I could just to get a better idea of when I go to race next, I can look at all this and just kind of really remember the details. So hopefully that works for me moving forward. I'm just going to kind of go over the morning of the race itself and then kind of some takeaways. And yeah, it was honestly, this was my most perfectly executed race. So I'm hoping to, teach future Kyle at least a couple things on how to do this, how to execute this the right way moving forward, and what can I improve on. Yeah, so let's get into, my kind of race day, which started with a 4:50 wake-up time. Race started at 8:30. I basically just had time at home, and then some friends were picking me up to take me to the race start. So no bus, no parking for me. It was really simple. 4:50 wake up, straight to the bathroom, pee, do a little sink shower, rinse out my face, rinse off my mouth guard, then back to the kitchen, make some breakfast. That's 1 piece of toast, plant-based butter, and 2 scoops of overnight oats, chia seeds, and some frozen fruit in there, and then a whole orange. I almost always do the toast and the orange, and the overnight oats was a little bit extra. I don't know, just trying to add that in, and everything worked out, so maybe I'll do a little bit more in the morning of, but definitely don't want to go heavy, honestly, morning of. I never have for races, and this worked out. And obviously with a cup of coffee and some oat milk in it, sat down. I was watching the Treble Man City documentary on Netflix. Last episode, actually. I've been slowly getting through it, so it was pretty perfect timing to watch their Champions League, recap against Inter last year for them to clinch, the treble in England. So, I'm an Arsenal fan, but it was still good and inspiring to watch while eating. Ate everything up, drank the cup of coffee, straight to the bathroom after that, did a number 2, because this is a PG channel for now. And that's generally when I'll I ate my breakfast, I went to the bathroom, now I can kind of change, and I feel like transition from waking up to actually getting ready for the race, if that makes sense. So change, body glide, squirrel's nut butter, whatever you need. I do it before every race. Honestly, anything faster or anything over a 10K, I feel like I need to do that. It's not really an issue most of the time. I just do it for long runs, and that's how I'm going to execute, the race day. So it's just part of the practice. Put the contacts in, brush your teeth, deodorant, that whole morning stuff, so that you're just about ready. And then I transitioned to just packing up kind of my main backpack, which I was going to leave with my friend so that they could have that for me at the finish. I did also have a clear bag that I ended up checking with just one sweatshirt in it. So basically I had my one clear bag and then my main big bag that I would also have at the finish. But I did the one checked bag just so I could have a sweatshirt at the race start, because we got there about an hour early, and it was about 45 degrees, so kind of cold for hanging around. Outfit, I guess, New Balance running top that I got from the 2021 New York City Marathon. And then, honestly, I'll have to put the brand for the half tights on the screen because I always forget. But half tights, they're, I think recommended by Kafuzi like 2 or 3 years ago. 2 side pockets, no back pocket. I need to find a new pair for the full. I definitely 100% do. Features mini crew, like semi-elite socks. I don't like the full elite ones because they're really, really thin. I like the ones that have a little bit more kind of cushion to them. So yeah, those ones, they're white. And then Endorphin Pro 3s. Really can't say enough about them. Honestly, they're probably my favorite racing shoe. I haven't run a ton of racing shoes, like Endorphin Pro 1s. I don't know. That's literally like about it. So, but they're freaking awesome. So yeah, let's get back to my day. This is quite the ramble. I hope you're prepared for this. So yeah, changed, got my bags together, went to the bathroom one more time, a little bit of massage, probably like 30 seconds, rolled for about, a minute or two, nothing big, nothing deep. Just to get that little edge of maybe I loosen one little thing up, but nothing aggressive. Got picked up at 6:45, actually 6:46. If Sean watches this, I know we were hard on the 6:45 and they rolled up at 6:46. So I got on them a bit because I'm anal and kind of a pain in the butt. So yeah, Sean and Brie Lynn picked me up probably like 20 minutes to the start line. We got there by, about 7:05, straight to the bathrooms, just peeing, as much as you can, honestly, because I don't want to have to pee during the race. Mingled around for about an hour, found some folks. Yeah, I specifically wrote down, we honestly talked to quite a few people at the start and like saw people. So shout outs to Pete, Griffin, Will, Vincent, Kathy Brackett, you know who you are, and Sarah, the Balanced Beast, the Cap City crew, and all the Narc City runners. It's pretty cool seeing all the community come out, and some people I just follow on Instagram, some people I've met in person. But yeah, it was just cool to to kind of look around and see, to know the community that you're running with. That's what it's all about, right? We did probably like a quarter mile warm up as it got closer, about 8:05, 8:10, just up a little hill where the race started. And then we kind of filed in at the 7 to 7:05 pace corral. I mean, it's like maybe 1,000-person race. So there's not like corrals. You just kind of pick your lane and where your pace is. Took a gel about 15 minutes beforehand. It was a 20 milligram caffeine goo gel. I think it was like the vanilla bean one. All goo gels today. So yeah, one right before, and honestly was just feeling super anxious, mixed with like adrenaline beforehand. So yeah, I was definitely like very ready to go. I was very conscious, feeling a little bit crunchy in my left knee. That's the best way I can explain it. And other than that, everything was feeling good, and just kind of managed that throughout, and kind of already went into it thinking about that, I guess. Super anxious, but we should probably get into the actual race. To the next page. So I'm kind of thinking I'll just throw the splits up on the screen now and then talk about how I kind of moved my way through the race. But overall, I just want to say, like I think I mentioned earlier, this is by far the most consistent longer race I've done. My goal was to do 7:35s. I was, spot on or quicker. Only really off the mark a couple times, once or twice. And ultimately my last 2 miles were, my fastest. So ending with a 7:11, cooking it, feeling it. Overall, just really happy with the pacing. So yeah, I'll throw the splits up there and we can kind of go over each bit. First mile and a half is like really like you go up this quarter mile kind of hill, and then you have some pretty steep downhills, which you think, in the first couple miles, it feels great. You're not feeling anything. You're kind of flying, but at the same time, like you're kind of in the back of your head, like chill out. Don't cramp. Don't like destroy your, quads and everything ahead of time. So that kind of stressed me out. I remember feeling stressed about it. Just knowing like, man, this might come back to bite me a little bit. But, I feel like I stayed pretty reserved in those first couple miles. People were kind of like flying by me. And it was definitely a good practice of just like, let them go. I was looking down. I was checking my pace. Like I was I was spot on, if not going too quick. So yeah, that was kind of a bit of a practice of let them go. Hopefully we catch them later on, right? But at least just like stick to the plan. And regardless, it's going to flatten out. Don't get ahead of yourself when things are rolling and there's climbs and downhills, when after about mile 3, everything flattens out, you hit the rail trail and it's kind of smooth sailing and you can manage things a lot better. Yeah, mile 3 turns into the rail trail. Mile 4, I took my second gel of the day. Again, goo gel. It was one of the fruit flavors, but again, it was a 20 milligram caffeine, regular gel. Those are going down pretty easy for me. And honestly, cruising. Overall, 1 through 5, I think I was just trying to calm down. Obviously, my heart rate is quite a bit higher than training runs that are similar efforts or had higher efforts in them. So I think one thing I can take away from that is like to expect maybe a little bit more adrenaline and everything on a race day when you're surrounded by people. Makes sense, right? So heart rate was a little bit high, and I think I was just spending a lot of time thinking like, don't get ahead of yourself, stay calm, stick to the plan. And I think I did a really good job of that. Aside from, I think, almost losing some focus around 6 and 7, those were some of my slowest miles. And I honestly don't know why. I think I was probably just still in this, let's not get ahead of ourselves kind of energy. So I just wanted to really stick to the plan. And that, I think maybe even holding back there a little bit was a little bit hard for me. But I also think you kind of get settled in with a group at that point in a race like this. So maybe I was kind of just settled in with them and didn't want to be the guy who's running ahead and then they catch me later. I don't know. You tell yourself so many things during these races, but everything felt pretty darn smooth. Was still kind of feeling the knee, but everything was good. Got to, 6, 7, I seemed to lost a little bit focus. 8 came around, took another gel. This was I took like blackberry burst or whatever. It's another goo gel, but it's, I think, a 50 milligram calf gel. So a little bit extra, a little bit high octane. So yeah. And actually, funny story, around mile 8, I actually dropped it. Like I ripped it open, was putting the ripped off piece into my little pouch, or into my side pocket. And I dropped the actual gel out of my mouth and it was completely full. And I was like, no, I need that. So I just kind of like do this shuffle and like 3 people behind me are like, whoa. And I'm just like, oh, shoot. And I kind of crab walk, scoop it, grab it up. And I just run off to the side in case anyone is about to fly by me. And this huge dude who ran a lot of the race with me, super tall, big dude, he came by me and just laughed. And I was like, thank you for not running me over. We ended up running the rest of the race together. But yeah, so there was an incident out there at mile 8 where I dropped my gel. But then we put it down. Thankfully, we still had it with us. And I think in a half, that 8 to 11 is always, when are we going to go? When are we going to go? How are we feeling? Can we go? Wait a little bit longer. And this was just the game I was playing in my brain. 8 to 11. It was just hold. Like I didn't want to burn up. I think I had a lot of fear from the previous year, which is completely irrational because last year when I ran the same race, I had barely trained. I did like 1 15-miler ahead of time and thought that I could just crush, a half. This time I'm in probably some of the best shape I've ever been in, and was, my body can do it. My body can do a lot more this year than it could last year. But I still had that fear of just burning up, with over a mile to go. I just did not want that. So yeah, the patience game, that was 8 to 11, got to 10. You kind of get to this one portion in the race where you're under like a highway and, your GPS gets all kinds of messed up. Tells you you're doing like 10, 15 pace. And then you just get into this whole like, oh my God, I'm just out on this island in the world, not knowing what my pace is. How am I doing? Am I even keeping to my 7:35? And you kind of have this whole wild dialogue. And then you just like, at least for me, it was kind of just like dialing that back in and, just realizing like, I know what this feels like. Like I've been here for weeks. I know what it feels like. I've been here at 735s the whole time. I've been nailing it. Trust yourself. So yeah, all of that happened in a couple miles. And, but I'd say a mile 11 is when I was kind of like, you know what, you got to, let's see what we can do. And I'm not gonna lie, I told everyone this at the finish line. I was like, I knew, like I was telling people I made that decision at 11. Let's kick, let's give it a little bit. And I swear I looked down at like 12 and it was like 7:23. It was like not even that much faster. And so I mean, it's a good sign. Like I was working hard enough where I tried to kick and it was barely faster. So, I was emptying the tank for sure, but not like, I didn't really have it in me to go closer to like a 7 or a high 6 pace for that last bit, which is kind of what I was hoping for. But yeah, I mean, we still had a bit of a kick, and that last mile, a 7:11 like that, I think finished strong, right? Like if you can still do that, and I'm super sore. I couldn't walk super great kind of at the end of the race, but overall I felt pretty good. It was a really good effort. It was kind of like, it's an excellent tune-up, and a really good training run. So yeah, I mean, got to the end of it, and in retrospect, to be able to do my 5K split was 23:32. My 10K was 46, 56, 15K 1:10:24, 20K 1:33:34, and my overall half marathon time was 1 hour 38 minutes and 26 seconds. I mean, for me, that's awesome. Like that's 2.5 minutes off my PR. I knew it was going to happen. I think there's a certain confidence you get from your training, whether it's a lot of confidence or just a bit, or if it's going to be close, or your goal is pretty darn high. So it even just depends on the weather. I lucked out here. It was literally like 45 Fahrenheit, overcast, and
what'd you get? 1:30:17, somewhere around there.
Nailed it.
I blacked out at the end. I still haven't finished my work.
Almost no wind. So, it was a perfect day. No rain till after the race. But as we were standing there waiting for some other people to come in, it was honestly a perfect day and a great day to test things out, get a new PB, and hopefully build some more confidence. I say hopefully because I honestly, there's only so much time before Buffalo, and I now have to kind of recalibrate some things based on these results. Okay, so this is it. This is our takeaways. The weather doesn't get better than that. Endorphin Pro 3s with the Superfeet insoles with the low arch support are awesome. They are the shoe I think I was exactly looking for. It feels fine. It's slower paces. It's cushioned. It's comfy, but still feels like it can pick up and go the distance for me. Like I don't need the absolute, super firm poppy Alpha Fly. I mean, I would like to try it one day, but this just seemed like the perfect shoe for me. And so far I'm extremely happy with it. My nutrition was good. I think I'm going to try to eat more overall in the morning for the full in 6 weeks. I also think I'm going to try to eat a much larger, late lunch the day before, just to have a little bit more in the system. I'm thinking the full is really going to deplete me. I've done full marathons before, but this is definitely kind of my biggest effort. So I'm thinking next time we'll stick to, every 4 miles we're doing a gel, but I think when it comes to the actual food ahead of time, I'm going to try to load up a little bit more at just about every point of, pre-race meals. Yeah. And I mean, the ultimate takeaway is splits were super consistent. I've never run a race this smooth and checked in on my times, but also I got so much done for me with the weather, with the course. It's super flat. So, there was a lot of things that really went well that I then just didn't have to worry about. Things that were set, all set for me. Like you can't ask for more than that. I just had to race. So I did my part, I guess. The final kind of takeaway here is like, I couldn't do the 707s for this half. And that was supposed to be my benchmark to be able to doing a 325 in Buffalo in 6 weeks. So kind of just checking in with that and being realistic in the fact that probably has to come down. And I kind of did my recalculation for, you multiply your half time by 2.19. And that's, according to a handful of online sources, that's a pretty good estimate of what you can do for the full. So my new estimate for the full is 3:35:34, 8:14 pace. And I think that's going to be kind of my benchmark. We've got 2 big weeks of training that I'm going to try to really like lock it in, do some bigger mileage without pushing it too. I'm obviously not going to hurt myself, but I've got 2 weeks where I can push. And then honestly, when it comes to Buffalo, I'm probably going to aim for the 8:14s. And I mean, heck, if things are feeling real good at 21:22, maybe we could get up a bit, but like you got to be reasonable and you got to listen to your body. And, I pushed it pretty hard, and for me to get the 138 was a push. If all signs point towards a 335 rather than a 325, I got to listen to that. And I can't do more than, you can't just push for more than what you're capable of in a marathon. Cause that's when things go real wrong. Feeling like I'm listening to my body really well. Feel like we're on a good pace right now. Sean, my buddy who I do the podcast with, Cody did not run. He ended up picking up, an injury that I don't think is really a sideliner, but I think it was enough for him to know that it wasn't a race day for him. So props to him for being smart about that. Sean knocked it out of the park. His goal was to just, I think he low key was going for sub 130. And I think he got like 130, like 18. So he nailed like some 6:52. I think his average pace was pretty smooth. It looked like he tapered off a little bit towards the end. But it was a really good test. I think you could tell he pushed it pretty hard, and he knocked it out of the park. So props to you, Sean, and props to everyone else that had a great race. Tons of people, I think, had the perfect day, just like me. So yeah, shout out to everyone out there. And I guess shout out to everyone running Boston today. That looked like a hot day. So definitely not the perfect conditions, but still Boston's about being tough. So anyone who gave it their all, know that you ran, the tough race. It's not smooth and flat and downhill. Boston's tough. I haven't even ran it, and look at me with all these words. But that's it. That's the race recap. Probably a bit of a long-winded one. But yeah, appreciate anyone who's watching these videos, especially if you made it this far in. Yeah, much appreciated. Stay safe out there. Enjoy your runs, and I will see you in the next one. Peace. The new interview setup.